VO2 running. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys 5 tips to run a faster 5K. All right, so let's get started. Tip number 1 is gonna be, if you wanna get faster in the 5K, you should try to run more mileage. Now, why is that? Well, the 5K, you gotta understand that it's a distance race and that you're asking your body to do a very specific physiological task. And so when you're running the 5K, you're running at an intensity where your body, your muscles are contracting, and they need fuel, of course, and they're gonna get their fuel primarily through what's called aerobic metabolism. So basically, aerobic means with oxygen. So your muscles are gonna be processing fuel with the help of oxygen. And so the 5K, they did some studies, it's about 90% aerobic. So anything you can do to get better at aerobic metabolism, to be aerobically fitter, is gonna help you a ton in the 5K. And so how do you get better aerobically? Well, you gotta do lots of low intensity exercise. So the key here is when you're running more mileage, you want to keep the intensity fairly low for most of it. And so, you know, you want to run at a conversational pace, somewhere like where you can have like a conversation the way I'm having right now. And you want to keep your heart rate low. And yeah, that's gonna really help you. But up to a point. Obviously, if you run too much, you know, you risk getting injured, and that's not gonna help you get better at the 5K. So, you know, you want to be careful. Whatever you're doing now, maybe try to run like 5 or 10 miles per week more, you know, and see how that goes for a while before increasing any more. But you know, unless you're already doing like 2 hours of running a day, or like well over 100 miles a week, you probably have some room to grow. You know, you probably have some room to grow, and running more mileage will probably help you. All right, tip number 2. So because the 5K is aerobic, you want to do a lot of workouts that are focused on your stamina. So your ability to, you know, sustain a hard effort for a long period of time. And so to do that, tip number 2, run tempo runs. So what is a tempo run? Tempo run is kind of a generic term for, you know, a longer sustained hard workout, like hard running. And, you know, when we think of a tempo run, what we really mean is kind of like a comfortably hard pace. So it's sustainable. I'll put some examples of some tempo workouts on the screen now. The most classic example is like the Jack Daniels 20-minute tempo run. So you run 20 minutes at your 1 hour race pace. So the speed that you can run for 1 hour in a race. And you just go out and do that for 20 minutes. And so that's probably about 30 or 45 seconds slower than your 5K pace. And it's really gonna improve what's called your lactate threshold. All right, so basically you're running right up at the edge of where your body's gonna go anaerobic. And so it's like your fastest aerobic speed. Really good training stimulus for the 5K. Couple other examples, you could do a longer tempo run, let's say 40 minutes at, you know, your marathon pace. So you slow it down, now you're going maybe a minute or a minute 30 per mile slower than 5K pace, but now you're doing it for 40 minutes. So you're really gonna get a lot of endurance, a lot of stamina from that session. And then lastly, you can also do what are called cruise intervals. And so a cruise interval, basically you break up the tempo run and just do some 4 or maybe 5 minute repeats, and you can go a little bit faster on that because you're getting some rest. So classic example would be something like 4 times 1 mile with 1 minute rest, and your 1 mile is like 30 seconds slower than 5K pace. So maybe a little bit slower than 10K pace. All right, so tip number 3. Now, the 5K, I said it was 90% aerobic. That means 10% anaerobic. It's a pretty hard effort, right? When you're racing a 5K, you're really kind of maxing out your breathing. Your heart's beating like super fast in your chest. You can hit your max heart rate near the end of a 5K. So you got to get comfortable with the pain, right? A lot of it is pain management. So to do that, tip number 3, run VO2 Max workouts. And so what do I mean by that? Well, I'll put some examples on the screen, but things like 5 times 1 kilometer at 5K pace with, let's say, 2 minutes rest. So not a lot of rest, pretty short rest. Your heart rate doesn't come down all the way, and you run kind of at that max effort. Another example, let's say 3 or 4 times a mile with, let's say, 90 seconds rest, and that's gonna be at 5K pace. That's a really tough workout, but it's a great simulator, a great simulation of what you're gonna feel in a 5K. Other things you can do shorter repeats, let's say shorter than 800 meters, and make the pace a little bit faster. So something like 10 times 400 meters at 3K pace, right? With, let's say, 100 meter or 200 meter jog in between each repeat, okay? So that's really gonna get your fitness kind of at its peak for the 5K. But you don't wanna do that too often because it really, it's a huge stress on your body. So let's say about 4 to 5 weeks before your goal 5K, that's when you want to start doing these VO2 Max workouts. You only want to do about 4 or 5 of them before your race. Okay, tip number 4. When you're running the 5K, I said that it's really fast, right? It's really kind of a hard effort. So you need to do whatever you can do to make it feel a little bit easier. It's gonna really help you. So tip number 4, run speed workouts. Now, what do I mean by speed workouts? Well, I mean, you need to do some running that's faster than your 5K pace. So some examples, strides. First thing you could do this right away, year round, is strides. So something like, 15 or 20 seconds at your mile pace effort. So let's say 90% of a sprint. And just do that 15, 20 seconds, full recovery, do 4 or 6 of those in a session, and just really focus on, running really fast, but staying relaxed, right? You wanna learn how to relax while you're running a fast pace, because that's what's gonna make your race more manageable, right? Running really fast makes you more efficient at slower paces. So you wanna make 5K pace feel, slower than it actually is. A couple other examples. You can do 8 times 200 meters at mile pace with 200 meter jog. So faster than 5K pace. Another example, you could even do 400s. Maybe not too many though, 4 or 6 with 90 seconds rest. All right, so tip number 4, run speed workouts. Tip number 5. All right, tip number 5, don't overdo the speed. Tip number 5, don't overdo the speed. And tip number 5, I guess another way to say it is emphasize your recovery. right? So you don't want to do too many tempo runs, too many VO2 Max workouts, too much speed. You know, you don't want to do too much intensity because you can get injured or you can get overtrained, right? And then you're gonna end up feeling actually, you know, worse than and not better, right? You actually might race even slower if you're like exhausted from all your workouts. So, you know, make sure you're getting enough recovery. You know, your body does not get faster by doing hard workouts. I'll say that again. Your body does not get faster by doing hard workouts. Your body gets faster by recovering from those workouts, right? That's the key. Doing hard workouts is not gonna matter if you're not recovering. So when does your body recover? Your body recovers when you're sleeping. So it's really important to get a lot of sleep. You know, when you're doing hard training, you wanna sleep more than usual. Make sure you're getting, you know, at least 7 hours a night, preferably more like 8 or 9 hours a night. And make sure you're eating enough, right? You gotta fuel your body so it can recover. And another thing to think about is what's called the 80-20 rule, which basically says that 80% of your weekly mileage should be easy mileage, low intensity running. And so what does that mean? Only 20% of your mileage should be hard running. So, example, if you're running 40 miles per week, you do not want to do more than 8 miles of workouts in quality. All right, that's gonna make sure that you're doing enough easy running to recover. All right, so just quick recap. Tip number 1, run more mileage. Tip number 2, do tempo runs. Tip number 3, run some VO2 Max workouts. Tip number 4, work on your speed. And tip number 5, recover. All right, so that'll do it for this 5K training talk. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any of our other videos. Run energized.